Hey, everybody, good morning. Welcome to our Financial Aid Wednesday series. It's a series where I help families pay less for college by finding extra money in grants and scholarships, tuition discounts, and education credits so you can avoid those loans and reduce the financial stress that you might be feeling. So, if paying for college is in your future, then stay tuned right here for money saving tips that you're not going to get from Google. You're not going to get it from your kid's high school counselor, and you're certainly not going to get it from colleges themselves. Hey, my name is Rowan Polnar. If we haven't met, I'm a financial aid expert and your host for these series. And today, I want to talk to all of the high school junior families because for you, time is gold. And that is the topic of today's webcast. Because if you don't want to get stuck with bad financial aid offers next year when your kids are seniors, pay close attention because time really is gold for you right now. And the next couple of months are actually going to decide how much you'll end up having to pay for college out of your pocket. Because the next couple of months will decide how much financial aid you might get, or tuition discounts, or grants and scholarships. It's all decided right now. So don't wait until your kids are seniors. Don't wait until they get accepted to college. Start now, start today, because waiting until next fall is going to put you behind schedule. So I'll tell you what you need to do to get ahead of that schedule and lock in better financial aid offer from colleges. But I want to share a story with you. And before I do that, I just want to let you know that if you've got any questions or if anything that I'm saying doesn't make perfect sense, let me know. Just drop it in the comments below. And I or a member of my team are going to get back to you. And if you're watching us live, welcome. You can always ask questions right here, right now. I've got my eye on the comment section. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, if you're watching a replay and any question comes up, let us know. We'll get back to you. So back to our story. So, this is a story about a family that came to us just last week, and they were looking to improve their daughter's financial aid offer. Now, their daughter, who's a high school senior right now, got into a great college, but needed more money to pay for it. This happens a lot, especially right now. This is the college acceptance season. See, when they got their college's financial aid offer, they found out for the first time, just like so many other families, exactly how much money they were going to have to pay out of pocket. And the amount that they had to pay was much, much higher than they expected. And it was much higher than they could actually afford to pay. So they picked up the phone, they called, they were really puzzled because they thought they did everything right. See, they completed the FAFSA in the fall. It resulted in a relatively low expected family contribution, right? The amount that they were expected to pay by the government formula. And it made them feel pretty good, right? Because they were expecting that more expensive colleges will just make up the difference between their expected contribution and whatever the college was going to cost. So, fast forward a few months, she gets into her number one choice school, which happens to also be the most expensive on her list. So she's obviously overjoyed. Her parents are overjoyed. Everybody's feeling good, and all is good in their world until they get the financial aid letter from that college. She was offered a little bit of loans and nothing else. No financial aid whatsoever that would actually lower their out of pocket cost. So just imagine the surprise, right? Imagine their daughter's disappointment and imagine the fear that her parents felt in that moment because, well, they were expecting to pay somewhere around $20,000 a year. That was their expected family contribution on the FAFSA. And it was already a stretch. But now this college expected them to pay close to $80,000 a year. That's just crazy. They didn't have enough savings. I mean, even just for 1 year, let alone for $80,000 times 4 years. So, anyways, they reached out and they asked for help. Obviously, the first thing that we do for high school seniors who reach out for, financial aid help is we go through their financial aid filings. We figure out what we can do, right, or what we can use as the basis for filing a financial aid appeal. Now, I know I told you this was going to be for high school juniors, so stay with me because this is a preview, a glimpse into your future if you don't do it right. But if you do, everything that I'm sharing with you with this story can be avoided, can be fixed long before it ever happens or comes to fruition for you, which I hope it doesn't. So, anyways, back to our story. So, this young lady who is at this point crushed, right? She wants to go to this number one choice school of hers. She thought it was going to be a good financial fit because her EFC was low. College price doesn't really matter as long as they have money to give. And this college actually has money to give. So why are they not getting the financial aid? And so, we've gone through their financial aid forms. I've asked them what they completed, when they completed it, looked through their questions and answers. And it turns out that this particular college, which is a private school. And like there are 400 of these private schools that want you to submit a form called the CSS profile in addition to filling out the FAFSA. Well, it turns out that this young lady didn't realize that the colleges wanted both CSS profile in addition to the FAFSA. She just did the FAFSA back in the fall and she thought she was done. And she's a really bright student. Like she thought she really did everything right. And she focused so much of her time and so much of her effort and so much of the research on getting into college that she missed this one thing. And this one thing, which was seemingly a small detail in just the amount of stuff that she had to do just to get into this school, which was incredibly hard to get into, ended up being a huge, huge consequence. So here's what happened. I told them to write a financial aid appeal letter, call the financial aid office, and beg them to let her submit the CSS profile, even though the deadline has already passed, and explain that this was just an honest mistake. They did that. Unfortunately, the college came back and said, too late. The deadline has passed. We cannot accept your CSS profile. But, if there's anything different on the FAFSA, you can make the changes and we'll reevaluate your financial needs. So, this is an incredibly important point that I want to stop at and tell you, all of you, even if you're seniors and you'll be reapplying for financial aid, but this is most important for junior families. We have effectively two financial aid systems. One is need based, the other is merit based. The need based financial aid is based entirely on your family finances. For the most part, it's based upon your income and your savings. And there's some smaller demographic elements that also affect the amount that colleges are going to expect you to pay. The merit financial aid side has nothing to do with your finances. It's all about your student. Maybe their academic accomplishments, might be their musical accomplishments, athletic, and sometimes it's just their demographic. It has nothing to do with, their grade point average or anything else like that. It just, some colleges want more kids from the East Coast or the West Coast or from certain demographic or boys or girls or certain race or ethnicity, and they'll actually discount their tuition to get a well diversified freshman class. But let's talk about the financial need based financial aid system first, because there are two different pools of money that you can get if you have a financial need. And financial need is determined by a very, very simple formula. You just look at the total cost of attendance of the school that your student is looking at. You subtract from that your expected family contribution, and you get the need, the difference between the two numbers. That's your financial need. That's the amount of money that you're going to be asking for. And the difference between these two sides of where the money comes from is really important, because the FAFSA is the financial aid form that the government uses to make you eligible for financial aid from them, from the government. The CSS profile is a separate financial aid form that would make you eligible for money from the college's own reserves, from their endowment, from their money. Now, there's really big difference between money from these two need-based financial aid systems. The government has a lot of money. that they offer every single year to millions of students. But their funds are usually uh, in grants, but also loans and work study. The government does not distinguish what kind of financial aid it is. To them, it's all the same. And so, very often, only the lowest income folks get the free money, but everybody else just gets loans and work study. And while that is considered to be financial aid, that doesn't help you very much because what you're looking for is free money, money like grants, scholarships, tuition discounts, money that actually lowers your out of pocket cost. And that's where this bucket of money comes in. This is where the college's own money comes in because they only give out free money. If you're applying into expensive private colleges that actually have good financial aid policies, well, whatever financial aid they're going to give you will always be in free money. It's like cash, it's going to offset the amount that you have to pay dollar for dollar. None of it will ever be in loans. So here's what happened. And if you're a junior family or parent of a junior student in high school right now, pay attention. And I'll tell you a few steps that you need to do, but this is really important. The FAFSA will only make you eligible for financial aid from the government. If you don't fill out the CSS profile, and if it's required by the colleges that your student is applying to, then this money that the government or the colleges have won't be given out to your student, even if they qualify, because they have to submit the separate financial aid form called the CSS profile to get that pool of money that the colleges have set aside. And if you only complete the FAFSA, you'll only be able to get money from the government, most of which might be in loans. So, this is the thing that I wanted to tell you all. If you've got a high school junior, the most important thing I can tell you is please do not let your kids drive this process alone. Using a simple analogy, do not let your kids be alone in the car. I don't mean like don't let them drive, but when it comes to driving the college process, please don't let them be alone. Get involved. Let them drive. Like put them in the driver's seat, but you got to be in the car. Sit in the passenger seat because you've got to be their navigator. There are a lot of things that our kids who are teenagers, no matter how bright, how responsible, and how thoughtful they are, they just don't know. They're not supposed to know. They're still teenagers. Get involved. So these are the most important things that I want to tell you. The number one thing that gets missed, you got to have that money conversation. The money conversation that you're probably dreading. You probably dread having it with yourself, let alone with somebody else, right? Because who wants to admit that, hey, there's a limit to our savings, there's a limit to our income, there's a limit to what we can do to pay for things, because most of us have like that really nagging feeling in the back or the thought in the back of our minds. It's like, shit, we're kind of behind. Maybe you're behind on saving for retirement. Maybe you're not getting the things that you want. I get it. I get it. But you know what? If your kids are going to go to college soon, like the colleges don't really care kind of these things that you're thinking and worried about, unfortunately. And the government doesn't either. They're just going to look at the black and white application that you're going to submit. They're going to look at your resources and they'll decide how much they're going to expect you to pay. And so you got to have this conversation with your kids. Have it now, because this is going to help them find the right colleges to apply to. The biggest fear that kids and their parents have is that their kids are not going to be able to get into a good school. Like that is the number one thing that people worry about. And yes, there is that back of the mind worry about how you're actually going to pay for it. But most parents don't bring that thought to the forefront of their mind until after their kids have finally been accepted at a college. And that's when that thought in the back of the head goes to the front and they start going, all right, how do we fix this money problem? Because the college wants us to pay a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money to pay. How do we find the money? And unfortunately, by then, you don't have a lot of options. In many cases, it's going to be too late. So please don't wait until then. I know that this nagging thought in the back of your mind sucks, and there's no other way to say it. Bring it to the forefront. Just deal with it. Make it real. Call it what it is, because there are so many things that you can do if you just do it early enough, which is why I said that for you, time is gold. The more time you have, the more money you'll find. I guarantee it. So have the money conversation. All right. You might be saying, well, what does the money conversation look like? So here's what you do. Number one, do this yourself. Do this with your student. Doesn't matter, but you just got to do it. Create your college budget. A college budget is how much money you can comfortably pay for college every year for, let's say, 4 years. What does that number look like? Look at your savings. How much money have you set aside for college? Look at your income. How much can you pay every month or every year out of income to pay for college? Like, add those numbers up. Figure out how much money you can come up total each year for all 4 years. That's your college budget. Now, write it down, an annual number and then the total number, right? Number two, estimate your expected family contribution. It's not that hard. It's actually quite easy. And you don't have to wait until your kids are seniors when they're applying to colleges and filling out financial aid forms to figure out what you're going to be expected to pay, because this number is going to help you pick the right colleges, and you want to estimate it right now. If you've got a high school sophomore and somebody's watching this, do it today. Do it as a sophomore, because the more time you have, the more time you're going to have to position your finances in the best way so that you're going to be able to qualify for more financial aid when the time comes. Like, this is your time. Use it well. Don't keep that nagging thought in the back of your head until your kids are seniors and getting into college. Please don't do that. Start now. There's a really cool, easy to use, free website that you can use to estimate your EFC. It's collegeboard.org. It's the same website that brings you the ACT. So, anyways, if somebody can put that in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. I think it's collegeboard.org. So go to that website, and there's going to be a little search window, and just put in EFC calculator, and then find it, answer a few questions. It's going to ask you about your income, your savings, your age, how many kids you have, how many people in the household. And it's going to give you an estimate of what your expected family contribution is going to be in the future. And the cool thing about this is that it's not like official. It doesn't go to the government. It doesn't go to any college. It's like totally confidential. And you can play with the numbers to say, well, if I shifted some things around, what will my expected family contribution be then? It's really cool. And you don't have to go on record and share all of this information with the government just yet. Why is this important? Because you'll then want to start looking for colleges that have money for you. See, everybody's different. Your kids are different. There are no two exact, families perfectly, exactly alike. Everyone's going to be different. You're going to be looking at different schools. You'll have different financial situation, different financial resources, different EFCs. So you want to figure out, what is the college is going to cost? What is your EFC? And there's a financial formula that I taught you guys before. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know it. But if you haven't, I'll tell you right now. It's cost of attendance, which is the total cost of whatever college you're looking at, minus your EFC. That's the amount that you'll be expected to pay, equal your need-based financial aid. That's the gap between the total cost and how much you'll be expected to pay. That's why calculating your EFC is important. So look, if your college budget, right, the amount that you can pay is close to or equal to your EFC, well, that's great. That means you're actually going to be able to come up with the amount of money that the government thinks you should. That's awesome. In that case, you need to tell your kids to look for colleges that will actually give you up to 100% of that difference between the cost of attendance and your expected contribution. Now, in many cases, your expected family contribution might be higher than the amount that you're able to pay, more than your college budget. So in that case, Tell your student to look at colleges that not only give financial aid, but also have merit money. Or maybe you need to look at scholarships. This is extra money that you can get to pay for college. Or look for colleges that have such great financial aid policies, and your student is going to be such a great fit that they might give them a tuition discount just because they really want you to go there, separate from your finances, additional money. So there's ways to get money for every family. You just have to figure out, well, what's going to work for you, and look for those colleges and apply to those colleges. So if you've got, 10, even 5 like perfect colleges for your student and really good fit colleges for you financially, no matter which of these schools ultimately accept your student, they're all going to be a really good fit, so that by the time, your turn comes, they get accepted, they get their financial aid award letters, and if it's not enough money, well, then you're going to have leverage to actually negotiate for more. File those financial aid appeals with multiple colleges that accepted your student. One of those colleges is ultimately going to give you the money that you need. You're going to have options. The story that I shared with you today, that young lady does not have many options. She's stuck. And it's a really bad place to be. And I don't want you to be there. That's why I'm sharing the story with you. So, the final reminder for you all, don't miss filling out any forms, and do not miss any of these deadlines. A lot of these things in college acceptance and financial aid work like clockwork. There's deadlines. So figure out what they are. Don't lose them. Don't miss them. And if you want some help, let me know. We've got a lot of free content on our on this whatever social media channel you're watching. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. So wherever you are, just find more information. I talk about this every week, sometimes more. It's free, and I'm here to help. But if you want more personal help, go check out our website. I offer everybody a free 15-minute consult for the first time. It's your time. It's absolutely free. And you can ask me any question, or let me give you a path to follow to find the most amount of money. So you don't have to pay the full sticker price, and you don't have to get financially stressed, and you don't have to put your kids into debt so they can graduate and actually get a head start in life, as opposed to having to dig themselves out of a hole with a lot of debt. So go to our website. It's pillar6college.com. Actually, let me share my screen and I'll show you. Uh, this is our homepage. And once you get there, if you want a free consult, it's right here. Click this link and it's going to take you to my online calendar. 15 minutes are absolutely free. It's your time. But, if you want more financial aid help, like you're down to the wire, maybe you need to find the right colleges, maybe you need to file a financial aid appeal, or maybe you need a strategy to how to pay less for college, make sure all of this works together, including working with your student to get them on the same page. So if you don't want to have that dreaded, you know, money conversation with them, well, I'll have it with them. Like, make me the bad guy. I don't mind. I'm happy to do it, and it usually helps the kids hear it from somebody else, other than their parents. So you can schedule a financial aid strategy call, or if you're a high school senior family, you want a financial aid audit, we can help you. And if you don't want any help, you just want to get more financial aid tips, join our mailing list right here. Um, we're not going to spam you, but we send out almost daily emails with small tips on how to, save for college, how to save money on college, financial aid tips, application tips. There's a lot of really good stuff. It's all designed to help you. So if you want more information, join our mailing list, and I'll be happy to answer any questions as they come up. That's all I have for you today, folks. I just wanted to share that story because I've just my heart broke for that young lady, because man, she tried so hard, and like that one little thing um, really put a lot of strain on the family. So hopefully they'll figure it out. I think that they can, at least come up with the money for 1 year, and then fill all the right forms or file the right forms at the right time next year, and hopefully they'll get the money for the sophomore, junior and senior year of college. But it still is going to suck so much money out of their parents' savings account that they wouldn't otherwise have to. And I feel really, really bad for her. And I hope that story will at least inspire some of you to not wait, to not delay, and don't just leave all of this in your kids' plate. They have a lot to deal with. And just, give them some grace. Work on this together. Two heads are always better than one. And there are things that you as a parent can help them with that they just don't have the life experience yet to, some of these decisions that they have to make, which by the way is a huge decision, both life decision as well as a financial decision. So be partners in this. Create that vision for that ideal target of what you're looking to accomplish and work towards it together. And cut them a break, but also don't let them run off into doing this process entirely on their own. And I know that sometimes parents will delegate this to college counselors. Maybe at their kids' high school, maybe they'll hire a private college counselor, which is great. All of these things will help tremendously. But oftentimes the financial piece gets missed because the financial or not financial, excuse me, the college counselors are always more focused on the admission side, like getting into college, that they don't always have that money conversation. And you really need to have these pieces in place in order to make sure that they have the information about how much money you can pay, what your expected family contribution is, what profile colleges they need to look for to make sure that there's going to be enough money coming from them, from those colleges, when your kids actually get in. And if you do that now, in your kids' junior year, between that spring and summer, so that when they are actually applying to these colleges in the senior year, they're going to be applying to really good colleges with good financial aid policies. And when they get accepted, you'll have so much more control. You'll have so much more money that it's really going to take the stress out of this whole process. And maybe not entirely. You might still be a little bit stressed financially, but you'll be stressed a hell of a lot less than if you left it until the last minute and call me next spring panicked because the financial aid offers are not good enough. And unfortunately, I have so many families calling me every single year. And the number one thing without fail, they always say is, we wish we talked to you sooner. So this is not me patting myself on the back. This is me just helping you guys and gals do all of the little things on time before your kids get into college. And that's really going to help you. So, with that, I'm going to leave you because I don't want to hold you here longer than I have to. And you're probably tired of hearing me talk, anyways. Good luck. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. If this is helpful, hit like, let me know that this is actually helping you, and share it with your friends, because the one thing that you can give them is the gift of time. And if they've got younger kids, even if they're in middle school or beginning high school, the more they learn about this, the earlier they start taking some of these steps, the easier it's going to be for them, and the more money they're going to find, and the less financial stress they're going to experience ultimately, which is the reason why I'm doing this. So, with that, I want to wish you well, good luck, and I'll talk to you all next week. Thanks for watching.